back to my channel. Today I'm filming another card tutorial. Today it's going to be for this adorable Valentine's Day sunglass shaker card. I first got the idea for this card when I was grocery shopping the other day and I saw all of these cute little Valentine's Day kind of toy items and little gifts and goodies, and I found these 98-cent sunglasses or glasses. Very cute. Comes in 4 colors, get 4 different pairs, and the second I saw them I kind of fell in love with all of the colors. That teal is my favorite color, and I instantly wanted to do something with them. So to start this card, we're going to need a card base. I chose a white 4x6 cardstock base as usual. We're going to need something to use as the background or the backdrop for our card, and we're also going to need this top layer here. I have quickly run it through my Cricut and just added a nice little sentiment on it. I used Hey Good Lookin because I thought it fit in with the sunglasses. We'll also need just a plain old glue stick. You'll need some foam squares, or some double-sided tape will also work, and a hot glue gun, some sequins or something to add into the sunglasses to make that shaker card. By all means, if you don't want to make a shaker card, you don't need the sequins, but who can live without sequins, really? So, in order to get this started, I first wanted to try and pick which pair of sunglasses I was going to use. My package came with white, blue, red, and pink. And while I loved all of the colors, I had already printed on a pink piece of paper, so I knew that the pink wasn't really going to work. The teal I really liked, but they didn't quite go. And I ended up settling with the white because they had a nice contrast here. Don't worry too much about what color the arms are because I'm actually going to break those off in a little bit. We're not going to use those because they kind of make the card uneven and it doesn't sit quite as nicely with the arms on them. So these are the sunglasses, and they actually have no lenses in them, and I keep calling them sunglasses, but anyways. So what I'm going to do is start by outlining the frames of the glasses just on white plain cardstock, and then I'm going to cut that out just because we are going to need something to use as a backing so that all the shaker filling doesn't fall out. Because these are actually meant, I suppose, to be worn by children as glasses, they have a nose bridge area that's raised, so they don't sit flat on paper, so we're going to turn these into the shaker themselves and then add them to the card later. So I'm just cutting those out, making them fit. Perfect, and it is in one piece, but I will be cutting them out just so it's just the 2 lenses. Now next I have this piece of acetate. It's a little bit thicker than acetate. It's actually a piece of packaging that I got. I'm sure something we've bought came in it. It's just like those plastic windows that come in product packaging. Anytime we have a box that has that, you have to take it out anyways. In Canada, you recycle plastic separate from paper. So I always take them out and I have a little package of them saved just in case I need them for anything. I also use them when I paint my nails and that kind of stuff. So I'm just cutting them down to size so that they fit onto the glasses, basically like the lens of the glass, basically like the lens of the glasses. Since, once again, these ones didn't have it, I thought they did when I bought them, but I think I was just imagining that they should be there, even though they aren't. So I'm just cutting these down to size, getting 2 of them, 1 for each side. Again, I'm not going across the bridge of the glasses because there is a raised area and it would make the sequins not fitting quite as nicely. So I popped a little hot glue right around the edge there and stuck that down. And now I'm sticking a little bit more. You do want to make sure though that you don't go quite too far past where the plastic ends, just because you'll be able to see the hot glue while it is clear. You'll be able to see the hot glue through the front of the glasses here. So I'm just picking up. I got some hot glue on the table, just doing some cleaning up. Some hot glue kind of dripped around the edge, so I just want to make sure the edges are as clean as possible and as little hot glue shows as possible here. So I'm just cleaning it up a little bit, getting all those little extra pieces gone. And I mean, hot glue is pretty forgiving. It kind of peels right off nicely if you needed to take it off of either the plastic or the lens piece that we've created here. Perfect. So now I'm going to grab my sequins. Once the hot glue is totally dry, don't do this while the hot glue is wet because you'll just get it stuck to the hot glue. So you can add a good little amount to them. This is just a mixture. I think there's solid hearts, hearts with a hole in the center, some X's and O's, just some general red Valentine's Day themed sequins that I'm adding in. And I think I'm just cleaning up sequins that I dropped all over the floor here. So I'm going to spread them out a little bit. You may also want to run a cloth quickly or like a static sheet or a dryer sheet over that plastic, just because it does get a little bit staticky with those sequins and they will kind of stick to it. I didn't do it because I did like the way that they kind of stuck, so that not all of them stuck to that clear plastic, but some of them did. So it just kind of filled up the space a little bit nicer. So I'm just cutting this backing piece in half now to make sure I've got 2 lens pieces that will fit nicely over top of where I've already stuck that clear plastic down. So there's one, and just making sure they fit before I start to glue them. It would be a pain if I started to glue them down and then realized afterwards that they didn't fit. So what I'm going to do, there we go, just again making sure that it fits. I popped a little bit of hot glue onto the back of the cardstock here before I stuck it down, and that was just so that I could get it in place. And then what I'll do afterwards is I will go back around with a little bit more hot glue and stick it down a little bit better, just to make sure it's not going anywhere and to make sure there's no gaps. You don't want any gaps between the 2 layers because you don't want all those sequins escaping from there. There we go. So there we go. I've lost one. So there is a gap somewhere that I will have to fix. But so this is what it kind of looks like. Oh, and I'm shaking it around. There's a gap somewhere there and they're getting through. So get those out of the way and I will go in and have to get that cleared up a little bit. So now what I'm doing is I'm just adding some double-sided tape to the back of that background piece, that chevron pink and red and white colored paper that I found. I really like this one because it tied in with the colors of the sequins on the inside, as well as the rims of the glasses, as well as that top backdrop piece with the sentiment on it. You could use absolutely any paper. You actually don't even have to use background paper, but it adds a little bit more color, a little bit more flair, a little bit more fun to the card. So I always like to use a couple layers because it adds all that dimension. So I'm going to peel off the backing of this double-sided tape, and then I'm going to be sticking this right back down onto the cardstock base so I kind of get an idea of how covered that piece is going to be. Still peeling it off. While I'm doing this, all of that glue on those glasses is hardening, and I just want to make sure that I know exactly where all the gaps are, and then I can go back in and fix that afterwards. So I'm going to stick this top piece down, and I'm actually going to use these foam squares here. They're not quite as big as the normal foam squares I use, but they do provide a little bit of height to this part of the card, so it pops out a little bit from the background, get a little bit of a shadow from that, but it's not so big that it's flopping around. Because these glasses will be pretty heavy on the front of the card, I don't want it sticking too far away from the back, which is going to be the main structural part of the card that's going to keep it all stable and together. So I'm peel the back off those, and then what I'm going to do is I'll stick it onto that backdrop there, and then I will be checking on my glasses here to see how they're doing, how everything's dried, and fix any gaps that there is between there. So once that's all glued down, I'm going to go back to my glasses here and carefully pick them up because I do know there is a gap somewhere in between those 2 layers, and the last thing I want to do is be picking up a bunch of sequins off the ground once I'm done. So as you can see here, I've actually skipped ahead a little bit. I've broken off those the arms of the glasses, and I'm just cutting off. There's some little gaps of glue that are sticking across. So I've filled in all the gaps. There's no more sequins falling out, but I've taken a nice tacky quick drying glue and some strips of white cardstock here, and I'm actually just going around and taping around the edges. This was also a bonus to picking the white sunglasses because I don't think I have any cardstock that matches the other colors exactly, and this is just a nice finishing touch so you don't see any of the glue around the edge, you don't see in between the 2 layers, so that when you've tilted your card on the side, you can't see inside of it. And it's just an added layer of protection that those sequins don't fall off. So as you can see here, all of that gluing around the edge is done. And now I'm ready to stick them onto my card. So this was a little bit more difficult and a little bit more time consuming, but I'm going to run some glue right along the edge of this. You don't want so much that there's like gobs of it, so that when it glues down, it does dry clear, but you will see it. This is my absolute favorite tacky glue. I'll leave the link to it in the description if you're interested. So I'm just going to stick this down, push it down a little bit, not so much though that the cardstock around the edge buckles because there is a little bit of a gap. And then, of course, I shook it around because I got excited about the sequins and I knocked it right off. So we're going to stick it back down and leave it to dry before I start shaking it around. I'm going to wipe up all the little glue mess that I made here. And I'll just set this aside to dry for a little while. And you can see once we're dry, these sunglasses don't move. And I've got a nice, quick Valentine's Day shaker card to hand out to those I love. Thank you guys so much for joining me again today. And if you'd like to subscribe, hit that red button down below and hit the bell if you'd like notifications every time I'm posting. If you're interested in seeing a written version of this tutorial, click the link down below and you can just head on over to my blog. Thank you so much again, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye.